friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ariana. I make lifestyle vlogs and bookish content. In today's video, I will be taking you along with me reading The Nightingale by Kristin. It's a lot. So if you haven't read the story yet and you don't want any spoilers, definitely pause this video and save it to come back at a later date.
Like, I can't even imagine.
He's really irritating and I can tell he's fake, so... The Nightingale is a historical fiction novel set in World War II, and it follows two sisters in Nazi-occupied France. Vianne, the older sister, who's just trying to protect her family and survive, and Isabelle, the younger sister, who throws herself into the resistance. This story takes on love, sacrifice, survival, and the different kinds of courage that it takes to survive through something like that. I documented my full reading experience, and let me tell you, this book put me through it. But at the end of the day, it's also just such a beautifully told story. So if you've read it or you just want to see someone slowly spiral, keep watching because this one took me on such a journey. I had to start filming again because she says, "I always thought it was what I wanted, to be loved and admired. Now I think perhaps I'd like to be known." Just stunning. We've been introduced to the names of both sisters, Car, and Vianne's husband, Antoine, and their daughter, Sophie. At the end of chapter 2, there's a scene where Antoine and Vianne are out on the porch, and Antoine says he is going off to be a soldier, and just like that, and she says, "But you're a postman," and he says, "I'm a soldier now, it seems." I'm so excited to see how this author tells this story because I have no doubt in my mind. I'm on the 14th page and I already know that she's going to do such a beautiful job, and I'm a little bit worried because I know that this is going to destroy me. Page 16, and I'm not okay. Hi. I'm in the car again. On page 130, Isabelle was just caught by this man for vandalizing a poster. And now she's meeting this group of men who, I'm not too sure who they are yet, but like, they're townspeople, they're not Germans, so we're gonna see what happens here, but they know who she is. Also, if you hear noise, there's like a football game or something happening right over there. So that's what that is. So you're gonna sit there while I read. Is that a mistake? Should I have just... Oh my... Okay, so I figured out who these men are, and they want to get Isabelle on their team. I'm going to assume they're the rebellion, and they need a female who's less suspecting. So they're getting her on the team, and she wanted to help in the war, and I think this is going to be kind of her step. Anyways, the townspeople started coexisting with the German soldiers, and nothing too crazy. Not a lot of action yet, but I'm liking it, I'm eating it up, so no complaints. Alrighty, so Isabelle has just joined a team of, I want to call them rebels. They're a group of men who are communists and radicals is what they refer to them. They refer to themselves as communists and radicals. They're like the rebels, so they're the ones who aren't passive to what's been going on to the war, because a lot of the French people are just accepting their fate and what's been going on, obviously, but they've recruited Isabelle to help hand out pamphlets of some sort. They call them tracts. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but that's just a way to say pamphlets or brochures, so she's gonna secretly be handing out these things. They also have the German soldier living with them at the home, so she's navigating that and being super secretive, and it's very nerve-wracking, and I'm unsure how this is gonna work out, but this is where we're at right now. And something weird happened between Vianne and the soldier, and I didn't really love it. They keep, like, narrator keeps mentioning that he's a handsome young man, and he keeps mentioning normal everyday things, like talking about his mom, and he has a wife and a daughter and a baby on the way, but I'm so sus on this guy. I don't like him, and I don't like there was like a moment shared between Vianne and him that I didn't really appreciate, and I'm really hoping that nothing happens between these two. He's just weird, and he's also got his eye on Isabelle. Like, you can tell he's not super trusting of her, and that she's the rebel of the two of them. So he actually even referred to them in the book as Vianne as the rule follower and Isabelle as the rebel, and I think this German soldier's using that to his advantage, but he's also keeping his wary eye out on Isabelle, and he's obviously not as good and normal as this book's making him seem, and don't trust it for a second. I'm just gonna keep reading. Isabelle's not being too slick with what she's doing either, sneaking out before dawn and sneaking around the streets with her basket. Girl, someone's gonna find out. They're literally surrounded by German soldiers, and they have one in their house. No, something's gonna happen. Oh no. Can't stand this guy. He's really irritating, and I can tell he's fake, so... Wait. Okay, well... Wait, do we trust this guy? So Captain Beck, the one that's living with them, he's talking to Vianne, and he said that he did some checking and that he found out that Antoine, her husband, has been captured and he's in a prisoner camp, and that he won't be coming home. And for a second, he had me fooled. For 1 second. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself, and I'm trying to figure things out, and I'm just not good at trusting these types of characters, but I don't know. But if Antoine is a prisoner, devastating, and Vianne's gonna be shattered. She's literally only been relying on the fact that he's going to come home. Like, she's convincing herself that he's going to come home and everything will be all right. Kristin Hannah just knows how to write. Here, Isabelle. She felt as if her insides were a bomb that needed to go off. One wrong move or word and she might explode. And then here, she blinked, feeling a little like someone who had just wakened from a coma to find the world impossibly changed. Like she's just now waking up, which is hopefully good, because I'd like her to stop seeing the world blindly. I want her to realize what's going on. But I think now it was kind of like a wake-up call. Antoine's not coming home. What do I do now? Here we go again. Vianne felt as if she were breaking apart bit by bit, losing blood and bone as she stood here, contemplating something she had studiously avoided thinking about, a life without him. She started to shiver, her teeth chattered. She doesn't want to go into the house. His ghost would be everywhere in there. A dent in the divan where he sat to read, the hook that held his coat, and the bed. The author's doing a really good job of showing the emotion Vianne's feeling when you first hear terrible news. As horrible and as sad as it is, it's really beautifully put. So I'm also quite embarrassed right now because it's Vianne, not Vianne. I don't know why I said that or where I got it, and from now on, if I don't know how to pronounce something, I will look it up. She ended up having to write him a list of all the Jewish people she knew of, so she wrote down all their names, and Rachel, her best friend, was one of those names. It's just so hard to read because they're so helpless and they're so scared and there's not much they can do. One of the soldiers just came into the school where Vianne works and is dismissing some of the teachers, the Jews and communists and Freemasons. Others he sneered, who are no longer permitted to teach school or work in civil service or in the judiciary. Slowly but surely, we're getting these glimpses of little things that are awful. And it's hard to read this without getting emotional and angry. Right, Rachel was one of those teachers that was dismissed. And how do you live with that internally, Vianne, knowing she wrote the list of those names? Whether it was against her will or not, which it was, she didn't have much choice in the matter. And also, they don't even know what this even entails. Not only how do you live with it, but the not knowing. Like, she doesn't know where Rachel and all of these other people are going. She doesn't know what it means that they're being taken away from their work. Vianne just told Isabelle that she was the one who gave him the list of the names. Sometimes Vianne's choices frustrate me. I look so tired. I do want to mention a couple. Let me put my bookmark in. There's still little moments between Beck and Vianne that I'm not obsessed with. He's the enemy and she's lonely and it's at war and it's just pressing times. He gave her more information on Antoine and where he is and that he's okay, and now she's in communication with Antoine, and I wrote down true. Because I still don't know if I should believe it or not. Maybe it's just my way of being like super suspicious on everything that's happening. But anyways, I'm going to believe it because Antoine and her are currently in contact. They're writing postcards to each other. But I underlined a line because he wrote her a letter. He says, "You are my sunlight in the dark and the ground beneath my feet. Because of you, I can survive." The only other thing that has really happened is that Vianne lost her job. She was fired because she questioned a policeman for firing one of her colleagues. So now she's worried about how she's going to continue to put food on the table because they're out of the money that was left for her by her husband. And on Isabelle's side, she's in Paris, so there's a lot of English soldiers around France who are hiding. I think I'm going to read a little bit more, maybe one more chapter, and then I'm going to go head to bed because my eyes are closing. But it's so good and I can't put the book down. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off. Last night I went to bed at like 2 a.m. because I was obsessed with the book and the parts we were at, so I couldn't put it down. But I ended up going to bed and just crashing before I even finished chapter 18. You guys probably could tell by the last clip on the couch where I was speaking. My eyes were fully closing. I was so exhausted, so I didn't actually end up finishing the chapter. But so update, I'm on page 311. It's definitely picked up its pace. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it because this book has had me hooked since the very first page. What I mean is things are escalating. It's been 3 years now since the war has started. Antoine's still a prisoner in the war camp, but I know the last thing I updated was that they're in contact. Isabelle was able to take Canadian and British soldiers across the border to Spain. Well, that's her task now. She's helping transport these men. Other big things that are happening. So Vianne's very much suffering. She can barely provide for her daughter or herself. She's not eating. Her daughter's barely eating. They're so poor. Definitely devastating times, and we're seeing how different Isabelle has it in Paris right now. She's doing other things. She's part of the war exactly like she wanted to, and she's really has her foot in the door when it comes to the war. And Vianne's on the other side of things, a citizen of the town, trying to get along, and it's getting harder and harder every day, and everyone in her town is experiencing the same thing. Everyone's struggling. Nobody can provide for their family. It's any money that anyone had left, gone, used. They're selling their old belongings. She sold her wedding dress. She sold pearl necklaces. anything to get by. I did underline a few things. It's just a couple chapters back. There was a breakthrough between Isabelle and her father. On page 258, I wrote a little note down and I said, Isabelle and father shared a moment. He sent her away from Paris to protect her. Her father was actually not on enemy's side and not helping enemies, but actually part of the group that she is part of the resistance. He had a different task than her, obviously, but he said that he forges papers. He began by writing the very tract she distributed in Caravo, but it turns out that the poet has a forger's hand. Who do you think gave you the name Juliet Gervais? So he forges papers, and that's his task in this. And there was a little bit of healing, not a lot, but there was a little breakthrough, a little step forward in their relationship. A look passed between them. In it, Isabelle felt a connection that had never existed before, and then fast forward, she sees him in a different light. All her life, she saw him as a cruel, careless man, and now she realizes that he's a broken man. He's been through a lot of things, and he's seen a lot of things, and he's broken. And he couldn't raise his daughter, so he thought he was doing what was best. She says, "Why did you push me and Vianne away?" He said, "I hope you never know how fragile you are, Isabelle." "I'm not fragile," she said. The smile he gave her was barely one at all. "We are all fragile, Isabelle. It's the thing we learn in war." And then, chapter 19, there's a new warning that's been put into place in France, and it says, if any of the enemy aircraft, such as Englishmen or Canadian army men, anyone who tries to help them escape, tries to hide them or aid them in any way, men will be shot on the spot and women will be put into concentration camps in Germany. But that's consequence for anyone that's doing pretty much what Isabelle's been doing for a while now. But after this warning blurb is put, Isabelle's thinking to herself, and she thinks, how was it that the Germans hadn't noticed by now that France had become a country of women? Like, what men are you going to shoot on the spot? There's barely any men left. It's all women. It's the women's war. Another big thing that I wanted to mention is that their last name means the Nightingale. We find that out early on in the book. Her name now is Juliet Gervais. Her code name is the Nightingale. That's her code name in the resistance. We've reached the point in the story and in the war that the yellow stars are handed out to the Jewish people. So Rachel, she has to sew it onto her clothes. And for the clothes that they're made to wear, and Rachel and Vianne share the news with Sophie, Vianne's daughter, and Sarah, Rachel's daughter. Navigating that as a child, knowing I'm different, I have to wear a star now. Our best friends don't have to wear stars, we have to wear stars. They're being divided, so it's like navigating that to a young child is very severe. This is taking me on an absolute journey, and I am halfway through. I don't know what to ever expect in this second half of the book. Somebody just slipped a letter under their door, under the apartment door, and it's a warning that says that the police are going to round up all foreign-born Jews and deport them to camps in Germany. I also want to add that at this point in the story, we're seeing that there's constantly new restrictions being put in place for the Jewish people. They can't own bikes. They're banned from all public places between 3 and 4 p.m. That's the time that all the food's already gone. There's more regulations. There's more separation between the Jewish people and the non-Jewish people. Rachel's being kicked out of her house. And actually, Captain Beck, the one that I have been hating on this whole time, he actually gave word to Vianne, kind of like a between you and me, she shouldn't be at home tomorrow. Basically telling them without telling them. It's page 329, but maybe I was wrong about Beck. Rachel and Vianne are currently saying their goodbyes to each other. This is the moment that Rachel's gonna give the false papers to Cross. Sarah's been shot. As soon as I stopped the camera, I continued to sob after that. Because what the heck ever in the world is going on? Sarah's dead. and then her mom and her baby brother being there at the scene where she passed, and then her mom having to take the baby and hide. I don't think I'm ready, clearly, to reread this part and relive this part, but Sarah says, did we make it across the frontier? And Rachel says, we did, we're all safe now. I was brave, Sarah says, wasn't I? So brave. And that was that. So Vianne, in this moment, pushes Rachel along, asks her where to go and where to hide, and she says, I'll come get you after this. I need to get it together, so I'm gonna pause and try my best to collect my thoughts, but I'm going to be like this for a good while. I've clearly gotten to the first part of the story that really wrecked me. And I say first part because I have no doubt in my mind that there's gonna be more times like this. So, and I think I've said this before, just the fact that this is a work of fiction, but Kristin Hannah, I feel, does such a beautiful job of putting us in the minds of these people. It's horrible things. It did feel like it was just them going through the motions. And I think this point on page 338, right at the end of chapter 22, when Vianne's in such a devastating point in her life, it's not that she hasn't come to terms with what's been happening, but I think this was kind of like the punch in the gut. But in this moment, she's like, what in the world is happening right now? Like, is this real life? They weren't lying when they said that this book was going to destroy me. Okay, things are happening. Policemen have now started to take Jewish people of any descent, of any born nationality, and actually it was Captain Beck who had said it a while back, that being French would no longer protect them, including the boy, Sarah's little brother. I don't know if I mentioned that, but Vianne is taking care of him now, and she's been taking care of him for a while, and they changed his name and everything. Isabelle is currently with, I don't know how to pronounce this one, Gayton. He's taking her across the frontier because she was shot by Captain Beck, who was also shot by Isabelle, who was also hit across the head with a shovel by Vianne. So both sisters ended up killing Captain Beck. German soldiers were very suspicious of Vianne. So now she was talking to another German soldier who's a little bit of a creep, is a light way to describe him. Now a new German soldier is going to move into her house. I feel like Vianne's really changing and evolving. She's no longer so naive. We've seen that as soon as everything happened with Rachel and Sarah. Something switched in her and she's a very different woman. And even in this moment, it says Vianne felt something in her heart, and it seemed that every time she thought she'd hit rock bottom in this war, something worse came along. She's just become so cold and so cut off from who she used to be. Before I continue, I'm just gonna go back a little bit because there's a little bit of romance happening. Gayton and Isabelle are flourishing. They've professed their love to each other, so I wanted to read these quotes to you. So Isabelle's saying to Gayton, maybe it's the only sane thing in all of this. Love, I mean. We've seen buildings blown up in front of us and our friends are getting arrested and deported. God knows if we'll ever see them again. I could die, Gayton. It's true and you know it. Either one of us could die tomorrow, and you know what I would regret? Us. And it's true, their time is so limited, so why waste it denying their love for each other? And then I just bracketed this whole part. Maybe she would love him for only this day, or maybe for only the next week, or maybe until she was an old woman. Maybe he would be the love of her life, or her love for the duration of this war, or maybe he would only be her first love. All she really knew was that in this terrible, frightening world, she had stumbled into something unexpected. And further down on this page, they're falling asleep together. It was like resting her hand on the ocean in summer when the tide was coming in. That love, that side of it, that's love and falling in love with someone and being head over heels and so romantic. As much as they want to enjoy their love and as much as they want to enjoy this romance, they can't. And every kiss could be the last, and every touch could be the last, and every conversation could be the last. It hits hard that these two young people are falling in love during this time, that they didn't get this opportunity beforehand, and all I can say is that I hope that they can live out their love story and that this won't be it. We're getting close. A little earlier today because I've been having a lot of late nights reading. I just opened my book and end of chapter 32, Isabelle is getting arrested. Oh my gosh, you are kidding me. Things have been getting really dangerous lately on Vianne's side too. She's being questioned for working with Isabelle's resistance because she's helping hide Jewish children at the orphanage. The man who is now staying at her home, his name's Von Richter, he's on to her and he's now questioning her, and things have escalated between the two of them. He's been threatening her. France is completely overtaken by Germany at this point. Life is even harder, people are struggling even more. I feel like it only gets worse every time I talk to the camera. I just started recording again because I have a real bad feeling about what's about to happen. Isabelle's captors locked her in a fridge. Her part finished and now we're at Vianne. It's just so gruesome and so harsh that I don't even want to repeat it. I'm just having a really hard time getting through this point of the book. Reunited. There was a little reunion between Vianne and her father, and a beautiful conversation had between the two, and a goodbye on her father's side. Assuming he's gonna sacrifice himself for Isabelle because they have her captured right now. So it had me emotional because it was a reunion after years of not seeing one another, but at the same time so short-lived, and ended with a very emotional goodbye. So we're back to where Isabelle is. Her father just entered the room where she's been kept. And that's all I'm gonna say for now. I'm just gonna keep reading, but I need this moral support. Oh my gosh, this book's going to destroy me. He's turning himself in as the Nightingale. Oh, we're at the point of the book that it's not even giving me a break. It's disaster after disaster after disaster. There's things that I don't even want to repeat right now. And Isabelle's father was just shot. And the things that are happening to Vianne right now. These poor women. The past little while I've just been sobbing. I keep repeating myself, but I truly don't know where this is gonna go. And also on the other side of things, on Isabelle's side, she's now a prisoner of a concentration camp. These women just can't catch a break. The story keeps repeating how this is the women's war, and it really, truly is. Update, Vianne's pregnant. Some good news before I fell asleep. Vianne and Antoine reunited. I was just hoping for this little speck of goodness, and it's here. They reunited. My heart. So as you guys saw in the last clip, I just finished the Nightingale a little bit ago. It was a lot thrown at me at once, just like the rest of the story was. I sat with my own thoughts a little bit, but I'm just gonna give a little recap of the story and of the ending because I know I just briefly mentioned some things, but I didn't really talk about it yet. So the timeline went past and present. The whole story, we don't know whether that's Isabelle or Vianne, and we find out at one of the very last pages that it is indeed Vianne. Isabelle's death completely shocked me. I really thought that this older woman was Isabelle, and I didn't know how they were gonna take it from where we were in the past to how sick she was when she came back home to where we are today. So it makes sense that it was Vianne. I was absolutely gutted to find out that Isabelle died, but on top of that, that Sophie had also passed from her illness. Like, that ruined me. And then there's a line that says that Vianne lost her sister and her daughter. And just how she looks back on not only Isabelle, but also Sophie as well, how her and Sophie were the ones who really got through the war together. Sophie was by her side the whole time through everything, and Sophie, even though she was a young girl, was so mature for her age and had been so shaped by what had been happening around them that she was there for her mom, and even until Sophie's last breath had been there for her mom and always took care of her. And then when it comes to Vianne, the strength that she carried through this whole story, at the beginning we're meant to view Isabelle as the rebel and the hero and the one that chases after what she believes in, and Vianne was so reserved and so conforming, but at the end of it we realize that both sisters in their own way were heroes. And I think this quote that Vianne says really ties the story together in such a beautiful way. She says, "Men tell stories. Women get on with it. For us, it was a shadow war. There were no parades for us when it was over, no medals or mentions in history books. We did what we had to during the war, and when it was over, we picked up the pieces and started our lives over." Don't even get me started on the reunion with Ari and just the whole tie together with her relationship with her two boys in different ways. Like, both boys come into her life in the best way, but they were both so important to her life, and she says that they both saved her in their own ways. She saw Gaten, she saw Ari, she saw Nuke, the older woman that was working with Isabelle. Like, oh, just a perfect ending. And then I wanted to share one more quote, which is actually the last line of the book. It says, "I smile at them, my two boys, who should have broken me but somehow saved me, each in his own way. Because of them, I know now what matters, and it is not what I have lost. It is my memories. Wounds heal, love lasts, we remain." This story to me was not just about survival. It was not just about a war. It was so much more than I would have ever imagined. It was courage, sacrifices, and love. Love in different ways. Love in a romantic way. Love for your family. Love for yourself. At the end of the day, it really was about the women's war and the women who carry all of that struggle and courage and love silently. I'll be thinking about this book for a very long time. Whew. Okay, as you guys saw, The Nightingale by Kristin hit me a lot harder than I ever expected it would. I knew going into it that it was going to bring out a lot of emotions in me, but never in a million years did I think it was going to hit as hard as it did. It's definitely stuck with me, and it's a story that's going to stick with me for a very long time. If it wasn't obvious already, I'm rating this story a solid 5 stars across the board. No doubt in my mind to be ranked as one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book of all time. She just did such a beautiful job, and I'm so happy I picked this book up, and I'm so happy I read it. And it definitely broke me in so many ways, and it's so many different times, but it was definitely worth it. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being here throughout this emotional roller coaster of mine. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more vlogs like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!